and we're going to get started. So this is a passport series. I am offering this for you get a college sketch per session that you attend this entire year. It is a passport, meaning if you happen to not be able to participate in one of my sessions this year, you do not have to forego the entire series. I have shored up the date. Last year I had it about April, and this year I'm going to end it in February. So if you participate in all 6 sessions, we can get those onto your MOEX account quickly, and hopefully you don't have to panic too much about your certificate renewal process. So I emailed you all that sketch application. I will make sure that you are always given ample time to get that turned into me, but it won't be until the end. You'll have a password that you're given today at the conclusion, and that's what verifies your attendance for me to be able to submit your attendance to the state of Michigan. It's hard to walk, chew gum, drive, and run a Zoom at the same time, which I'm not going to do any. So if you have certain needs or specific needs in regards to this process, please reach out to me separately and I'll be happy to work with you. But I really struggle to monitor the chat, let people in the wait room, and so on and so forth. It's just my thing. I just can't do it. So in any event, I'm excited to see you all. I hope that the year is up and running, and I'm gonna kick it off to Michigan Tech for the first half, and then second half we're gonna move across the state, the Upper Peninsula over to the Lake Superior State with Connor. So Lauren, I've given you co-pilot skills there if you want to share your screen, and then the screen is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. And for all of you, can I just get a confirmation that you can see my slide deck here? Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
So again, my name is Lauren Flanagan. I'm Assistant Director of Admissions here at Michigan Tech. And if you were in the room a few minutes ago, you might have heard me tell Sarah I am regionally based in Southeast Michigan. So I live and work in Wayne County, and have been doing this for at Michigan Tech for 11 years, but have been in admissions for over 22 years now. So I've kind of been around the block a little bit, and now I have my own student who lives in my house, who's a junior. It's my child, not a random student, but I have my own junior in high school, and so I'm looking at all of this and helping her with a whole new lens and appreciation for everything you all do. And so, yeah, so I'm right there with you as a parent and a professional. So I'll just go through some basics. I'm gonna, of course, I would love to address questions. We're limited on time a little bit. So of course, at the end, I'll provide contact information. You are welcome to reach out anytime. We're more than happy to help. So Michigan Tech, who are we? Well, let's see if I can advance my slide here. There we go. We are in the absolutely stunning Upper Peninsula of Michigan in a town called Houghton. I love this shot because it gives you a nice sense of kind of the vibe up there. Very cute, small town, vibrant shops and restaurants, a beautiful new waterfront. So it's a great place to live for 4 years. And those colors in the photo are about what we're experiencing now on campus. So very exciting. Michigan Tech is medium-sized. We have about 7,400 students. Of that enrollment, about 5,700 are undergraduates. So while we do have fantastic master's and PhD programs, our primary focus and our kind of where our resources go is to undergrads. And that's a really important piece as we talk about some of the opportunities our students have on campus. 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio with an average class size of 25. Willing to bet that class size is maybe even a little smaller than what some of you have in your own buildings and what your students are experiencing. So it's a great learning environment. All classes taught by professors, no grad students or teaching assistants teaching the content. And I can't get rid of that bar there. Okay, over 150 areas of study or programs for students to choose from. Of course, most people who know anything about Michigan Tech know us as an engineering school. We have a lot of engineering. Roughly half of our student enrollment is enrolled in engineering. So it is a big part of what we do, but we're great at a lot of things outside of that as well. Some fun facts: we get a lot of snow, over 200 inches a year. We're a very safe campus, #1 safest college campus in Michigan. About a third of our students live in residence halls, And most of our students are far from home. So when we think about Macomb County to the Keweenaw Peninsula, that's about 8 hours. That's pretty average for our student body. And what that creates for our students is a fantastic sense of community. Everyone's around 7 days a week, not going home on weekends. And so students are forced in a good way to get involved, meet people, build those relationships, and really kind of plant those roots at Michigan Tech. The common thread with all of our majors, STEM or not, is that every single student graduates with a resume of experiences. So whether it's labs, which are prevalent, or research, which is also very prevalent, or any of our special programs in design or enterprise or co-ops or internships, every single student has ample opportunity to get those practical experiences. In fact, just this morning, I spoke with a student who wants to study social sciences. And I was able to connect her with the chair of our social science department about all of the practical experiences she can get there. As someone who wants to know that she can get a job when she graduates, right? That's kind of what we're all about. Those practical experiences lead to fantastic job outcomes. Trying to move my thing here. I'm sorry. See, I keep pressing the wrong button. Okay. Career fair. We attract hundreds of companies each year to campus to recruit. Just last week was our fall career fair. We had about 350 companies on campus. That's day one. And then day two is called interview day. And on average, our students have 6 to 8 interviews on interview day. So that could be for seniors that are graduating, right, into full-time employment, but that's also internship and co-op opportunities for our younger students or underclassmen. So our students are highly sought after, again, because they've done so much of the work that they'll be asked to do out there in the work world. So actually, this is a little out of date already. So 96% is our placement rate from this past year. So when we say placement rate, we're referring to students who are employed in their chosen field. So not just any old job, but actually what they want to be doing, or at least launching into that career. And then average starting salary is over $82,000 per year. Sometimes when I say that to students, that number doesn't register. I'm like, talk to any adult, and I promise you they'll tell you that's good money when you're just starting out. So I know you all know that, but students sometimes need a little context on that. Great traditions, we're a little bit of a different place. I know that your students will have to drive past several other universities to get to Michigan Tech. So why would they do that? Part of it is our culture and our lifestyle, and things like broom ball and winter carnival and our parade of nations. So the things that make Huskies who they are outside of the classroom, it is a super fun and engaging environment, and our students love it. Some campus updates. Some of you might be pretty familiar with tech, but I want to just provide a few kind of newer things going on. First of all, we just opened a new residence hall. That's always super fun to talk about for students, and it's for sophomores and up. Great views of the water. Absolutely love it. It's called East Hall. It's on the east end of campus. We're pretty creative here, but it's beautiful space for students. We have launched a few new academic programs. Nursing, we're in our 3rd year of nursing right now. So we haven't graduated any nursing students yet, but given how STEM and science heavy we are, our students are getting fantastic prep. Not to mention, being in an area with a local hospital system, our students do not have to fight for those clinical rotations and those spots. That, by the way, that helps our pre-med students too. So don't sleep on us for pre-med either. Excellent outcomes there. So nursing's pretty new. Aerospace engineering officially launched, no pun intended, this year, although we've had aerospace for quite some time. It's just always been nestled within our mechanical engineering degree, but we officially separated it out this year, and they're doing big things as usual. Ecological engineering is a newly approved program that will launch in the spring. So when you have students that really are into sustainability and the planet, but also have that engineering mind. There's some really cool things that will be going on there. And again, the R1 Research University designation that was made official this past year and just means our students have more access than ever to fantastic research projects. Most professors employ undergraduates as young as freshmen to work in their labs, and students get paid to do that. So being the highest designation of research university at a smaller school that's undergrad focused really serves our students very, very well. Are all freshmen ready to jump into research and stuff like that? Absolutely not. As you know, plenty of students just need a year, need a beat to get used to college, but when they're ready, those opportunities are there. And just some notes about the admission process and application process. At Michigan Tech, it is currently free to apply to Michigan Tech always. You don't have to wait for college application week. Full disclosure, we for some time now have been discussing implementing an application fee. We were going to do that this year and then decided not to for a variety of reasons. But if you're working with juniors or younger, don't tout that just yet. But for seniors, currently still free. And of course, if we do implement an application fee in future years, we will always work with you or your students on fee waivers or things for those that need it. So no worries there. No essay, no major essay. Our application is through the Common App. And as you probably well know, Common App has its own essay. We see that when a student applies, but it is not taken into consideration in the admission process simply because we don't require it to be such. However, I will say it can be helpful when a student provides some context. So in that essay, maybe they let us know that their grades one year weren't great because they had some family stuff going on or a health issue or learning disability or something that they're willing to disclose. If they put that in the content of their essay, then absolutely that's helpful and we'll take it into consideration. We're test optional, so when a student applies, they really just need to send us their transcript and application. Test scores are helpful down the road for math placement. They can be helpful in the scholarship process as well, but they are not needed at the time of application. We're pretty flexible. I hope that if you've worked with students applying to Michigan Tech before, I hope that you've noticed we're pretty student friendly in our process. Not that we don't have, hoops to jump through and things that students have to provide, but when it comes to benefiting the student with scores or grades, we're pretty student friendly. So for example, maybe someone applies now, gets accepted, but then retakes their SAT and their score goes up. Well, maybe that helps boost a scholarship. Great, send a new score and we'll reevaluate. Maybe they want to tell us something that helps explain, so point being, we're always looking for ways to benefit a student in the process rather than be those gatekeepers that are trying to find reasons to deny admission or prevent a student from getting through our process. As far as admission requirements go, this is a good slide to stay on. This number gets floated around, every publication likes to publish the averages or the middle 50% or any of that. And I have to always caution our students when I'm talking to them that what they see here as an average is just an average of those that chose to come to Michigan Tech. It is not a minimum requirement. Typically, we're looking for around a 3.0. So a B average student is what we're looking for. For engineering specifically, I will say we're a little more picky about their math and science. So a 3.0 student or higher with A's and B's in math and science and 4 years of math, like progressing toward calculus, those are criteria that we're looking for engineering. For non-engineering majors, we're not quite as picky, but just know if they're great at math and science, they're probably in really good shape. The SAT average is about just under 1230. That's again of students who chose to send us their SAT score, and not everyone does. So I feel like that's a little bit of a skewed number there, but just to give you a sense of what's pretty typical at Michigan Tech. I also want to make sure to mention our Leading Scholar program. There are a number of ways a student can qualify for scholarships and other financial aid at Michigan Tech. This is the one that requires a little bit of extra effort on their part, but it could have big payoff. So Leading Scholar program is a chance at a full ride. And for Michigan residents, that means tuition, housing, and food are all covered with an additional $1,000 toward books or supplies or fees. So essentially a full ride. We do ask for an essay for this. And so students will apply for admission, and then by November 15th, they can apply for a Leading Scholar. It's a fantastic program. If they're selected as a finalist, they come back to campus in the winter to meet other incoming students and current students and kind of take a deep dive into what Michigan Tech is about for them. And it ends up being a super, super fun program. And through that, about a dozen or so students will be awarded the full ride. If a finalist comes to campus for Leading Scholar, we understand the time and effort and resources that it takes to come to our campus. And so we work really hard to make sure that every student that comes walks away with something. We're, between us, between us and you as counselors, I will say we try to be careful about how we say that to students, because we don't want them to think like just everybody gets something, that it's not special, because it is special. but just know, as you're working with students who are on the fence about coming to campus for this event, if they're invited, please encourage them to do so, because typically there is extra money to be had. By the way, that is not the only scholarship program. Like I mentioned, there are plenty of other options. We do award automatic merit scholarships to those that qualify. I don't have a slide about that, but I'm happy to provide it. Essentially, students with a 3.5 or higher automatically get something from us in a merit scholarship. There's a little bit of a sliding scale if maybe they're below a 3.5, but they submit test scores and the test scores are high enough. So we've got kind of a grid where we can see what they're eligible for. So a lot of our students do qualify just automatically for a merit scholarship, and then it goes from there. I don't know if all of you know this, but FAFSA opened already this year. It was supposed to open on October 1st, which is very soon, but it opened last week. So if you're working with seniors, they can file FAFSA, and that's a really important part of our process. We recommend that every single student file FAFSA, even if they have preconceived ideas of what they will or won't qualify for, simply because we provide at Michigan Tech some grant and scholarship money through FAFSA that has totally different criteria than those federal and state programs. So please encourage your Michigan Tech applicants to file a FAFSA no matter what. Worst case, they don't get anything, right? But they can't know unless they try. I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but that's our take. Lots of options to connect with campus. How am I on time? I think I'm okay. Okay, thank you. So for students, they can tour campus year round. We would love for them to come during the academic year when classes are in session. We know how challenging that is for them to miss class and sports and band and all of that. So we do have visits in the summer and then on some weekends throughout the year. And then for you as counselors, we also have a counselor visit program. So, and teachers qualify, any school employee who helps students with college stuff. So no specific date. It's just if you want to make a trip to campus, we will cover 2 nights in a hotel. You'll get a campus tour. We'll give you a VIP pass, which earns you access to like our ski hill and sporting events and a variety of other things. So, and I believe Northern Michigan does something similar. I'll have Connor talk about if Lake State does, but we've certainly have had counselors that kind of do a UP tour even over the summer and get a flavor for what that's like. So just reach out to me or to our office if you'd like to do that. Again, it's on your schedule, not a specific program. I know I just flew through info. but this is my contact info. Again, I'm Assistant Director of Admissions based here in Southeast Michigan. My email is there. When Bree Baker returns from maternity leave, you'll have her access, or you'll have access to her as well. But feel free to shoot me anything in email, and I'm more than happy to chat about anything you'd like. So I will stop the share, and I can see if there's chat or questions before we turn it over to Connor. Is the application for Leading Scholar separate from Common App? Yes. So the Leading Scholar application, oh, that was directly to me. I'm sorry. Well, I said it out loud. Someone asked if the Leading Scholar application was separate from Common App, and yes, the answer is yes. It is through our website. Without getting too much into the weeds here, when your student applies to Michigan Tech, they set up a portal just like most other colleges. And in that portal, the Husky portal, there is a link to scholarship applications, including that one. But they have to apply for admission before November 1st to have access. And then I will put my contact info in the chat as well, since I just took the screen down. And then feel free to chat me while we're here today or send me an email when we're done. But thank you all so much. Thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity. I can't stress enough how much we appreciate everything you all do as counselors for students beyond just college stuff. It's a million things. And so we're so grateful. So thank you.
Yeah. Lauren, really quick, if you want to take your Michigan Tech hat off for a second, but I just was kind of curious. More and more universities have not gone back to requiring test scores, and Connor, you can chime in too. But in the beginning, that was certainly driven by COVID, where students in that graduating class weren't able to do it, and then we have not seemed to go back to that direction. So I was just curious if there's conversations on the table about test scores being required at some point again.
Yeah, great question. Here at Michigan Tech, it certainly is a topic of conversation each year. However, we have remained committed to staying test optional. As you all know, policies can change depending on leadership and circumstances, and so I can't promise moving forward. The tricky thing is, and again, without getting too much in the weeds on our specific scenario, we appreciate having test scores for things down the road, again, scholarships and math placement, if for no other reason. And so I will often tell counselors, I would love if we required it, or at least encourage every student to submit them. And at Michigan Tech, and again, I can't speak for other colleges, but we will never use a student's test scores against them in the process. They can only ever help. And so there is truly no downside to including it with their application, because if it doesn't benefit them in some way, we will simply ignore it. I know that's not the case at every place, especially the highly rejective competitive universities, but for long answer to your short question, Sarah, but yeah, I don't foresee us requiring it at any point in the near future.
I appreciate that. That was an interesting phrase, highly rejective universities too.
Yeah, that's like phrasing that is starting to be used on a more universal standard, because it goes beyond just competitive or selective. For sure. Yeah.
Okay. No, I really, really appreciate that. We have those conversations are always, looming with SAT in April and all the things, and there's a lot of pressure, and we just always want to be abridged on what the trends are with universities and what direction they're going to go. So I really appreciate that. Yes, and I will just say, I visited both campuses at Connors and yours, Lauren, this summer, and what a spectacular place to go to college. So anyone who has any desire or interest to take a look, as counselors, I encourage you to take advantage of those counselor weekends. They're just spectacular up there. So thank you, Lauren. And I'm going to hand it off to Connor from Lake Superior State University. And Connor, I gave you co-pilot skills here. So if you have a slideshow or anything, feel free to share.
You got it. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, coming in clear.
Awesome. All righty. Perfect. My name's Connor. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for your time, and thank you, Lauren, for the presentation. Really appreciated that update from a fellow Upper Peninsula University. We saw each other not too long ago at the Promoting the Publics event down there, so it's not been all too long. We've seen on us. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if anybody here made it, but a lot of similar content. I'll start with a bit of a yearly update, the things that have changed within the last year, just in case you're a little familiar, and then I'll go into some general information about LSSU and the university. All right. So first of all, thank you all for your time. Talk a little bit about me. I'll have my contact information again at the end, but there's my email and my direct phone. I'm the Assistant Director of University Marketing with the institution. I was previously an admissions representative for about the last year and a half, traveling across to the college fairs and things of that nature, so you may have seen me out and about. Now I'm on campus and I serve our local students, sort of the branding and the message there, but I'm always happy to connect you with your representative or any resources on campus. But I'll start with a little bit of the updates, some leadership restructure, things on campus that our students are seeing that are brand new. We have a new scholarship model and some changes there. We'll talk a little about test scores. I'll end up echoing a lot of what Lauren said in terms of it not being a requirement or us not being a very selective institution in that regard, but it having some value with scholarships and with math placement. And then lastly, I can touch on the admissions representatives for your regions. We've got a little bit of shift there. Okay, so first and foremost, the leadership and the restructure, what's new on our campus. So we do have a new president, Dr. David Travis, joined us just before this past summer. And then shortly after his commencement or investiture, we have the addition of a new interim vice president of enrollment management and student support or success, whichever depends on the day, what you want to call it or who you're asking, Dr. Jamie Zamian. And that has been a restructure and condensing of a lot of the offices that face and support our students there. So that was effective in the summer, July 6th, and it's led to a little bit more collaboration on our campus. Our bookstore is looking to shift locations into the student center on campus and some other changes in the near future. But in the meantime, a lot more collaboration. Some other updates that students are seeing. We have some new signage, main signage on the side of our building and some digital signage. One thing I'm really excited about that we've seen already at the college fair that we hosted the effects of is we have a local coffee business or cafe, Superior Cafe, has opened a branch up in our business building. It's Considine Hall. We've had Laker Cafe there in the past. It was empty since COVID, and so we're excited to get a local business back there, and students are really enjoying the options. Some other updates that have happened this past year. We had a large anonymous recurring gift specifically for our D1 hockey program, and that's resulted in some updates that you see across campus, some signage, things on athletes that have gone on and been successful beyond college, and then the bus you see there, as well as some team updates. So 2 new teams on our campus. Inaugural swimming and dive team, both men and women's. And then we have the addition of 1 more ACHA women's hockey team. So we've had 1 on our campus in the past. So now we have 2 ACHA women's hockey teams, a Division I and a Division II. And then we no longer have tennis or golf teams. So a little bit of shift there. Some other updates, we extended the U.S. Coast Guard tuition expansion and we started a prison education program, which we call Step Up. All right, here's the new scholarship model. We're coining a real money scholarships or a Fort Knox model of sorts. And this is for that 2026-2027. A couple things that are different than they've been in the past is a condensing of the amount of applications. So you'll see in that last column, a lot of these just say 1 application. Previously, the 2 at the top were always automatic with admission, but the ones below that were each individual separate applications for students to complete. And so we've condensed those all into 1 single application where a student would be considered for all of those scholarships. Presidential used to be referred to as Laker Edge in the past as well, just in case you've heard that term before. And the deadline for those 2 competitives, the presidential and the Senator Philip A. Hart Memorial Scholarship, are March 1st typically for the next fall. We send out a lot of communication around that, but normally just so you have an awareness of when it is, it's about March 1st every year. So this really shifting from a tuition discount model to a real money model or a Fort Knox model, as I've stated, a bit of a coupon versus gift card sort of thing, ensures the reliability of both the financial support for the student, but also the quality of the education that we're able to provide. And then in addition to that, you kind of see that test score impact on the financial aid package, where the top one, the Laker Gateway Grant, Does not have a test score component to it. If they weren't to have submitted a test score, it's just off GPA. And then the Laker Catalyst grant immediately beneath that, essentially, as you can see, doubles the financial aid package if they were to have submitted a test score alongside their GPA. Not an admission requirement, again, by any means. So we are still test blind for that purpose, but it does help or have a pretty significant impact on your financial aid package, where in the past it hasn't had that difference or made that difference. All right, so that's all the new stuff. I mean, of course, there's lots of new things. That's not all the new stuff, but those are some standout new things I wanted to make sure I highlighted. But now we'll get into some more general information about the university I have to share. All right, so we're Lake State. We are student focused. I think the student to faculty ratio might even be an echo of Lauren's there, 13-1. Redefining the classroom is one of our taglines there. You can see it exemplified in some of the photos up top. Fire science on the left, fisheries and wildlife, the hatchery in the center, and then a nursing program in the Superior Simulation Center on the right-hand side. Our average class size is about 25 to 30, depending on the program. We were founded in 1946, formerly Fort Brady. Fun fact, Lauren, I'm sure you may know this, but when we were founded as a satellite campus of Michigan Tech. Fun fact. So a little collaboration here. Not only are we two UP schools, at one time we were both the same institution. So fun fact there. All right, so you can see it used to be on the grounds of what used to be a military base. The black and white photos are when it was an active military fort, and then the updated photos on the right there you see. Sort of a private university experience at a public university price is another thing we like to say. Okay, so here's everything we offer, just in case you have no idea, your students are curious. The main thing to see here is we offer a gambit from certificates to associates to bachelor's. We do have one master's program. It's a recent addition. We just welcomed our second cohort onto campus, and that's our Master's in Business Administration program. It's an online program really set up for professionals who are already in the field to continue their education. And so similar to what Lauren said in hers, we don't have TAs. They're all full-time faculty. And so that student to faculty ratio is a very true ratio, and you see some spaces that our alumni have gone on to work. And then all of those programs will be housed in one of 4 colleges. These are good to be aware of as we do some themed nights or showcases, maybe a business, engineering, computer science, and math showcase versus an arts and science showcase. So it's just good for students to be aware of which college that the major or program that they're interested in falls into, in case they want to engage in any of that programming. Talk about some housing options on campus. We do have a residency requirement for freshmen and sophomores without a permanent address in Chippewa County. One unique option that is available to first-year students, it depends on overall availability, but it's not limited by graduation year or student status, is our living learning communities. So students of the same or similar majors live in a house together, selected by the faculty representatives there, and built-in kind of mentorship program for those students. The engineering one's sponsored by the Engineering Society of Detroit, so they do a couple fun field trips every year. And all of our on-campus housing are co-ed by dormitory, have free laundry, and are pet friendly. So no limitation in your housing selection if you're looking to bring a pet on campus or worried about laundry or anything like that. All right, so get in some more campus info. The video you see there is something that's a little more unique to our campus, or that I really like about our campus. It's a cross-departmental simulation, they call it. So it's our first responder students, nursing students, you see fire science students, of course, working together on a car fire or car accident simulation. Fun fact, I was on the road as a recruiter when this happened, and I got a text that I had to move my car a couple days before, else I was in danger of being a part of the simulation unknowingly. So got that moved, no fear, but I always remember that. A couple other things about campus to be aware. Seymour Shuttle, no cost, runs on and off campus. If students don't have a vehicle on campus, can be super crucial, but even if they do, winter months in the Upper Peninsula, you'd rather jump on the shuttle than scrape off the windshield. Totally understandable. Great option for our students. Vehicle registrations available for all students, $90 for the full year, fall and spring semester, none required in the summer. And then kind of calling the outdoorsy nature if you'd like a boat or a sled trailer, $45. Now, always touch on this slide. It's a good time to touch on the safety of our campus. Grateful to be in the immediate answering vicinity of a lot of different uniformed services. So we do have our public safety force that regularly patrols campus and blue emergency call boxes throughout. But then we also have our local police force, state police force, tribal police, customs, border patrol, and Coast Guard are all in our immediate vicinity, all lead to a very low response time and the overall safety of our campus. All right, So we'll talk about some academic support and services students may want to utilize while they're here, get or maintain the grades they'd like to achieve while in college. Our Student Engagement Center, first to be aware, both are in the library. So if students ever wanted to use them or you want to see them when you're taking a tour, they're both in the library. Student Engagement Center is a good group workspace. There are some academic coaches, mostly student employment positions. It's generally a resource hub. It's great for group assignments, finals week. It's always a very popular location. But then in that same area is our academic support office. They're the more structured tutoring assistance that's available. General tutoring and math specific drop-in hours every week, and then a writing center for any written assignments. They do our accessibility and our testing services as well. Then one thing all of our faculty have is 5 office hours in their contract every week. So 5 hours they're available to meet with students, answer questions. When you pair that with the student to faculty ratio, really highlights their availability to be there and meet the needs of your students. And then there's the accessibility contact. If students have accommodations, I always encourage them to reach out, but even if they don't and think they may be in need of accommodations, they're always happy to discuss. Okay, so some other student support things on campus. First is our counseling services. Totally free, absolutely confidential, fully licensed therapists and no insurance required. No limitation on appointments. They could have a weekly appointment or a one-time care appointment. They bring in some dogs you see there for finals week, which is always fun. Only serves the student population. Then we have our healthcare center. No copay, so no out-of-pocket expense when they visit for students. We have a parent in a bag program. It's one of my favorite parts. Just if you get like generally sick and you say you want a parent in a bag, it's like a one-time thermometer, tissues, cough drops, cold medicine, stuff a parent may send you in a box or give you in a bag. And then they do all of our vaccines and testing and stuff there. Student Activity Center you see below. There is a rock climbing wall. I keep forgetting to put the picture in the presentation, but I promise there is. I even got a good one of our mascot climbing up the rocks. I'm sure the mascot would be upset to know I didn't put him in there yet, but I promise there is one. All the workout equipment you see, Olympic swim and dive, 3 open sessions a day for students and staff to use the pool. And then the workout equipment is on a regular 9 to 5. All right, we'll talk about athletics. We're Division I hockey, certainly our most competitive. GLIAC Division II, everything else you see on the left there. Women's volleyball, and then men's and women's, all the others. Then club sports, I discussed, we added one more women's hockey team to our club profile. So we have an ACHA men's Division II and a women's Division I and Division II. Another thing of note for students is that your student ID grants admission to all these games, including the hockey there. You see Seymour leading out the team on the right. This mascot, he's a good rock climber as well. Clubs and organizations, things for students to get involved in. I won't dive too deep. There's over 60 on our campus. It takes 5 students and 1 faculty to kind of sign on board to be the advisor to get a club started. Pokemon Go got a club right when that came out. Harry Potter's had a club pretty recently. There's a couple late additions. Some student leadership opportunities. Student government is always a very popular one. Laker Media does our newspaper, newsletter, social media. University Activities Board oversees all the activities. We do have Greek life on our campus, so sororities and fraternities, and then some unique options. Team Seymour, if you want to support the mascot, ballroom dancing, pep band. I don't have to be a music major to be involved in the bands on campus or theater or anything like that. All right, so we'll touch a little bit here on scholarships. Normally I'd have that graph as well, but I kind of talked on in the beginning, but our online calculator is available on our website. 90% of students will receive something, and then those 2 competitives that go up to a full tuition scholarship, including housing and dining for the Phil A, are the presidential and the Phil A right there. And then we'll touch on cost. We have a board meeting Friday for approval or voting on the official tuition rate, I believe, for this coming year. So just be of note that these are 2025, 2026 data instead of the 26, 27. But a couple other unique parts of the cost structure at Lake State is our tuition plateau. So in between 12 and 16 credits is one price. Opens the ability for a lot of students to get a credential, a minor, something additional while they're here for no additional financial expense. And then we are at TIP Phase 1, honoring or accepting school. And then you see the base rate housing and food prices there on the right. Okay, so getting some general admissions, kind of an overview. You see the snowman burn video on the right there. Very fun tradition on our campus. Last day of winter, first day of spring, we build a big snowman full of straw and light it ablaze. It always, Lauren, I'm sure you can attest, it always snows at least one more time after. So I wish it would work a little more. Fingers crossed for this year, but always is a very fun community event. Gets a lot of people together, and our fire science students, if no one else, really enjoys the day. So our application's always free. October is Michigan Application Month, but apply whenever you please. Encourage you to apply anytime. We do have rolling admissions, so we can accept students all the way up until the start of semester. We're test blind for admission purposes, although as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, it can have some impact on your financial aid, and it helps with math placement as well. And then 90% will receive some form. We're in the Michigan Transfer Agreement. We honor the Michigan Indian Tuition Waiver. Just encourage your students to learn more if they think they may be eligible. Michigan Achievement, and then TIP Phase 1 and Phase 2, Phase 1 being the larger portion there. Then some ratings from the latest, or the 2025 U.S. News and World Report. We fall into the Regional Colleges Midwest category, and within that category, we were honored the #1 top public school, the #2 best college for veterans, #2 best value in Michigan, 11th in the nation, #2 best overall in Michigan, 13th in the nation. I always think it's a fun fact. The schools that beat us for best value and best overall are two different schools. Fun fact. All right, a couple of the other traditions you see pictured. Our victory bell, the hula bell, whenever our hockey team wins a game, the players come up one by one, ring that bell as they exit the arena there. See the gifting of the first anchor, another picture of snowman burn. And then every year we put out a banished words list, a list of words we feel just are kind of going out of style or overused through this past year. A few years ago, we were featured on Jeopardy there, so that's always a highlight. The answer to that one, just in case you're curious, I won't leave you wondering, is asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. All right. Getting towards the end here, this is sort of an overview of the typical timeline for students or the student perspective. The video you see on the left is orientation. Obviously, this process can change school to school, but this is what it looks like at our institution. And there's no deposit required throughout this portion of the timeline. So for your application, your housing enrollment, or your orientation registration. So first up is to apply. You can self-report your GPA or submit a transcript at the time of application if you'd like. We are test blind, as I mentioned. Next is the FAFSA, of course, as we mentioned, just open, so that's very exciting. Everybody was understandably maybe a little doubtful on October 1st, given the last few years, but they beat October 1st even, so we're very excited for that. Register for housing is next there. If the student knows somebody else is coming to Lake State and they want to coordinate, they certainly can. Many students will find or select a roommate at orientation, so no sweat there either. At orientation, they'll meet their advisor, register for classes, get kind of acclimated onto campus. And then last, but certainly not least, is that final transcript after they've graduated with the official graduation date on it through an official source there. Next, I really encourage you all, if you have the opportunity, to come and experience campus. As we said, many will do the UP swing. I love a good UP swing. I kind of should have mentioned at the beginning, but I was born and raised in the UP, so I'm a little partial to the area, both professionally and in my personal life. But there's plenty of camps over the summer. Some are specific, like we have an engineering camp, an aerospace camp, but there's also some general group tour opportunities. I put our contact for our campus tours or our group tours representative there, Emma Zabik, in our office, so she's always more than happy to coordinate. If you want to bring a group up, see what resources may be available, I have that there, and I'm happy to share those as well. And then we do have regular standing tours Monday to Friday. You see the times there. If a student or parent ever just wants to stop in and experience campus, walk around, we're always happy to do so. All right. Well, that is all the information I had for you all. As Lauren said at the end of her presentation, I really want to emphasize how grateful we are for all the work that you do, both college related and not. Before this, I was a college advisor with Michigan College Access Network and Advise Michigan. So worked on the high school side of things in some similar conversations. So really have a deep respect for that, and can't tell you how appreciative and grateful I am for all the great work you all do. If there's anything I can provide resources, if you ever have a question, please don't hesitate to contact me or the admissions office. And then the video you see there is Traverse City Takeover. Our hockey team played Fair State in Traverse City. So to see a different community, get out of our own backyard and bring a fun game experience to a different audience, that was a lot of fun there. But with that is all the information I have. Thank you guys very much for your time. I'll look in the chat to see if there's any questions. Thank you very much.
I was going to say right away, you have to be from the UP. I just felt your friendliness and enthusiasm, Connor. What city did you grow up in?
Sault Ste. Marie, right
Oh,
here.
right.
Yes, ma'am. I am, fun fact, I did go to Ferris. I got away a little bit when I went to go to college, but I can't take the UP out of the kid, I'm back at it.
You went down the bridge, but you went right back up, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay, well, the room is open if anyone wanted to unmute and jump in and ask a question, or if you want to put something in the chat, we can take a look. Let's see. I'll ask a financial aid question real quick. Lauren, you had mentioned how there's like not hidden, but there's some unknown opportunities for students in individual universities, and the only way that those would be brought to their attention is through FAFSA versus, I mean, you have other scholarships to apply for, but Connor too, if you wanted to jump in about that. I don't think we emphasize that part enough to students because we're just looking at the grids and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One, like I said, filing FAFSA is so important in the process. The other thing I would say is sometimes, and I know we all use the web and we search and we look for stuff, and I don't want to say we're intentionally hiding things, but for example, here at Michigan Tech, we have a whole bunch of donor funded or sponsored scholarships that are just so hyper specific that rather than put them out there, we have someone in our financial aid office that will match students up with those opportunities. And so when a student gets accepted to Michigan Tech, at some point they have a opportunity to fill out kind of an interest survey, and that actually helps us match them up with some of those lesser known. But the thing I would say most is just if a student reaches out to me or to our financial aid office, just to say what is out there, what else is out there, is there anything I'm not seeing, we will absolutely work with them. So there's no magic formula to it. It's just if they reach out, we'll do our very best, but we try to get in front of that for them and match them up as needed. But and you all know part of the challenge is deadlines, right? Even the ones that we have out there for them to apply to, that we email or text them or call them about, if they don't see their email, if they're buried, sometimes they just miss it. And so it really is, as you all know, a little bit of a full-time job to keep abreast of all that all the colleges are throwing at them. So I don't know if that helped answer your question, but
Yeah, no, I think I hear it commonly is we make too much money, and I know like Michigan Achievement, that ceiling is higher than federal Pell, but then even beyond those, I don't think people realize FAFSA is a trigger for internal opportunities through universities. And so I've heard, I just want to make sure that that is the case.
yeah. So a good example of that is we have something called the University Student Award, which is a very generic name, but that gets triggered after FAFSA. And there isn't really a magic formula to it, but we will award that award in varying amounts based partly on FAFSA and also partly on academics. So of course the students who get the most money are the high achieving academic students who have the most financial need, but I find that we can be pretty generous with some of the stuff outside of that if we can be.
That's good. That's good. Connor, you echo that, I assume.
Yeah, more of the same. I would say it's a case a little bit of you don't know what you don't know. And if you never put it on file, certainly better to be proactive in your financial aid resources that may be available to you than realize after the fact that you may have had something at your disposal that you weren't aware of or didn't apply on time. And I'd say the same about reaching out to those departments. Our financial aid department is similar because they can really assist with that deadline sort of piece and making sure you're spending your time on what's most effective in terms of bringing you those resources.
Awesome.
Certainly.
So one more follow-up question to that. If a student fills their FAFSA out and then their circumstances have changed, which is very common, divorces or unemployment, so on and so forth, who is their first line of defense for that information once they've submitted? Is it you guys or admissions people or the financial aid office?
For us, it would be our financial aid office. they have I believe it's a specific form, a change of circumstance form or something. Can't remember the exact terminology, but there are many circumstances that are specified on there. Divorce being one, job loss, change, anything like that. And they're happy to assist. As you guys are all well aware, the data that it's pulling from is quite dated. Things change all the time. Lots of opportunity for things to shift between when you submitted the FAFSA and when you're actually going to school. So for us, it's our financial aid department is happy to assist with those, certainly.
Yep, same at Tech, but I would say any family or counselor who doesn't know who to contact can always reach out to their admissions person or whoever they've been working with. I don't know a single college that will, well, that's not true, never mind. That will pass them off and not work to help them, but yeah, they can always reach out to admissions, but those, we have somewhat limited access to the back end of a student's financial aid record. I can see a lot of things, but not everything. So I will loop in our financial aid office when appropriate.
Great. Okay. Anybody else in the room have any other specific questions? I know you were given a lot of accolades, Connor and Lauren, in the chat. As you can see in the background, you can see everybody's busy and everyone's listening attentively. That's the beauty of this experience, is that we're able to wrap up our work days, but also be engaged in with this work. So I appreciate you guys. Like I said, this has been recorded, and so if anyone had any requests, I can share it out. But definitely I will get Connor and Lauren's contact information to anybody specifically that had any more specific questions. Otherwise, I always want to end by thanking you all for showing up and doing what you do. As like Connor and Lauren said, we are very grateful for the work that school counselors and career readiness people do, and that you took the time to be with us today to just always be abridged and abreast of all the new information. And so if there's anything I can do to support you at the county level, I'm always here to do that. And if not, have a great travel home this evening. I know we all have other things going on. So I will wrap this up early. And your password today for the passport sketch is Upper Peninsula. How appropriate, right? So to verify your attendance, you're just going to write down Upper Peninsula. I could do what's the meat pies? Why can't I think of it, Connor? What am I miss?
Pasties.
Oh, yeah.
Pasties, right? I love them too. But no, Upper Peninsula is your password, everybody. So make sure you jot that in your sketch application. You're going to hold on to that until the end of February and submit that to me with the rest of them. So everybody have a great evening. Lauren and Connor, thank you so much for your time today, and we will talk soon. Bye, everyone.